All right, in this tutorial, now that we've added our voiceover, I'm going to go ahead and add some music and ambience. It's worth pointing out that a lot of times when we're producing detours, we will add music in particular much earlier in the process. That's one of the benefits of the fact that Descript automatically generates scratch audio. You can start putting music in there and seeing what your sonic palette feels like when you're out there walking the streets long before you've gotten your voiceover talent in. But for this demo, I'm going to do it now, and I'm just going to quickly go through it. There are more detailed tutorials in the documentation about how to go over how to add music. So in the assets for this tutorial, we have some ambience tracks, which you can hear. And we have some music tracks. So the way that Descript works is that you have 4 different channels of audio, which you can see by opening the sequencer view. There's voiceover, music, sound effects, and ambience. And you can have one track playing at a time. The way that I add stuff is I just take ambience, for example, and I can either drag it directly into this sequencer view, or I can just drag it where I want it to start in the script. And that's the way I usually work. It just asks you what kind of audio you want to add. You want to add ambience. And now when I press play,
You should be standing in front of 385 Grove Street. My name is Simon.
now that ambience is a little bit loud, so why don't we turn it down? I can just go here and adjust the volume, bring it down 6 decibels, and I'm also going to give it a little bit of a fade in. Let's listen again.
You should be standing in front of 385 Grove Street. My name is Simon. I'm a pig.
That's a little bit better. Now the other thing I like to do with ambience is you can go in here and you can just set it to loop, so you don't have to worry and have silence if you want to have the same ambient track going on for a very long time. Now let's add some music. Why don't we add a music track when the walking section here starts? Okay. Each one of these is called an event, and it's kind of nice because you can even go in here to the waveform editor by double-clicking on an event in the sequencer, and you can make edits to your music track if you want to, more detailed waveform edits, but you still have the visualization of one cue, which is how this stuff is really typically represented. So I can trim the length of things, and eventually you'll be able to add fade-ins and fade-outs. This stuff is some of the stuff that we're testing and adding right now, but you'll see really massive improvements in the way that all this stuff works soon. So now we can listen to this with the music.
Left and walk down Gough Street. There's one more character that fits into this story. There was a big bad wolf that lived in this neighborhood.
Now, another thing you might want to do is have music end at particular moments that are time variable, that go across the segment. So what I can do there is say I want music to fade out when the user arrives at the House of Straw. I can go here and I can add a music end event. And on that end event, I can click here. Oops, put that here. And then if I change my fade out, it'll actually affect that end event. So I can have a nice fade out right when the user arrives here.
Stop here for a minute. Did you see the straw house? No, that's because it's not here. The wolf blew it down and ate Sheldon.
Similar kind of thing. If I don't have an end event and I add another ambient or music track, it will just stop the first track from playing. So I'll demonstrate that by adding this ambient track when I get here to the garden. Now I want to switch to like a park ambience, and you'll see that it actually just cuts off that first one, and I have a little crossfade icon where I can tweak a crossfade between the two if I want to. So this may be a little too subtle to hear, but
You with me on the other side? Good. Keep going straight. You'll see an open gate door to your right that leads into a garden patio.
In the app, the music and the ambience and the voiceover are all maintained on as separate assets. So we're mixing the tour in real time based on when you're arriving at these triggers. That way, music can be of variable length depending on how long it takes the user to get from one segment to the next. I'm not adding any sound effects, but it works the same kind of way. You could just add sound effects and trigger and pills and have them drag them into your script and have them play sound effects. So that is how we do sound design.